fellow board member, Harry Sherkin, who is an alumnus of Lafayette College and was on the board of trustees there, arranged for us to get Donald Miller as our speaker. And I have to confess, I did not know anything about him until he suggested him. And then I got his book, Masters of the Air. I read his book. And before I got to page 390, I said, we definitely have to have this guy. Regrettably, Harry had an accident. He broke his ankle. He had surgery today, and he's unable to be here. But he is in our thoughts and our prayers, and we wish him speedy recovery. And we thank him from the bottom of our hearts for. And so, I've been fortunate enough to been asked to share these welcoming remarks with a Hollywood actor, Tom Hanks.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. I'm going to put on my reading glasses to read the following. Good evening, Tom Hanks. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Library of Philadelphia's 285th annual dinner. That's a lot of dinners. It's my pleasure to congratulate Donald L. Miller, who I happen to know is a professor of history at Lafayette College, on his accomplishments as an acclaimed author and historian and educator and a documentarian. I salute the historians of our community and the institutions who support all of them. Institutions like the Library Company of Philadelphia, which are vital to the success of all scholars and students and community members around the world who seek to improve our future by learning and teaching the lessons of the past, telling the stories of the past. I can think of no one better to honor your membership and celebrate the history of Benjamin Franklin's library than Donald L. Miller. Your efforts are a testament to the academic profession and the vision of the great men and women who founded our country. I wish all of you a wonderful evening, and I thank you for your contributions to the field of history. And to Don L. Miller, I say, keep writing those fascinating books.
Well, it's great to be here. I had a great day today. I was through the archives and saw what you do with books here. It's amazing, the book-binding process, how you can repair a damaged page of a book by dipping it in water and anything like that. Harry Churkin has been telling me a lot about this place, and it's my brother's in here, we love to tonight, Larry, we use it all the time with the book collection. It's just fantastic. And Linda Sarah did that exhibit in World War I, and it's astonishing. It's really, in one small room, to be able to compress so much information without cluttering is pretty amazing. It's a highly selective process. You have so much more to draw upon. And everything is so vividly done. I was really, really impressed by that. And I'm very interested in World War I. My grandfather fought and was gassed in World War I. And I was born on November 11th. Okay? And almost on the 11th hour, but not in 1918. Although I told my students I was, and they didn't laugh. You can tell a lot of things to students. They're good at 10 or Lafayette. I once gave an exam at the state level and said, it wasn't a very good class. It was the Civil War. I don't think I was that great, and they weren't that great. So the final, I said to them, why were so many Civil War battles fought on national parkland? And they started to write. They're Lafayette students. I stopped and went through this exercise. It's a great statement, what it was when you walked in the door. So, I'm really sorry that Harry can't be here tonight. communicate with him last night. He broke his ankle and was reading one of my books and it fell on his ankle. I'm glad that didn't happen to Mr. Williams. But I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be introduced by someone who's read your book. Having gone through so many of these introductions and going into interviews with pretty important people who haven't read the book. And it's a thrill to hear the book commended like that and to hear the book understood like that. And we authors, of course, love our readers, and especially if they pay cash for the book. And which didn't happen tonight, and their gift to Simon Schuster, so I don't get any royalty. But thank you so much for that, Al. And I really appreciate it. Very, very gracious. I want to thank Richard Newman and Harry. They're the reasons I'm here. And I met Harry. I met hosting a cocktail party for Tom Hanks, and Harry was there, and that's how we met, and he told me about your organization. My brother's been here a lot, as I mentioned, and it was a thrill to get a call from Rich Newman, who I knew before, and they read my books, and get the invitation, and I know what had to do with the award and things like that, and I know how many interesting authors you've had here, so this day has been great. David McCullough had told me about this place, and it really lived up to everything. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I've been being asked a lot of questions about Hanks and Spielberg tonight. That's really interesting to me. And so I thought I'd say a few words, and thank Tom too for that introduction. He called me up later after he did it and said, "Why the hell did they send me a script? I could have done some jokes." But anyway, he did it. He and Spielberg are great people to work with. And we're doing a documentary. It's not a documentary. We keep calling it that because it's so close to the real thing. It has what I would call fidelity. Masters in the Air will be very close to the book, and the book I think is close to the war because it's close to the lives of veterans whom I do the interviews from. Because they're responsible, they're the members of Fuel and Force. And working with Hanks and Spielberg is a real pleasure because they don't try to cheat like the History Channel does. They don't cut corners. They don't make things up. They don't research like the History Channel does on Wikipedia. I hope nobody's doing that. But everything has to be exactly right. At one script meeting, for example, Tom told us, listen, if this isn't the best movie about World War II, then I don't want to do it. I want it to be better than Das Boot, and she thinks it's the best done on the war. About the U-boat war, it's a German film. And so that scared everybody. And he brought in, it tells you something about him, he brought in a guy named John Scheiban. Now John's a great guy, and we're still very close friends. And John put together a thing called the Bible. And Hanks and Spielberg are both interested in this idea of making films. Like, instead of doing just scripts, you do a book, your own book, based on my book. And how you divide the book up into 10 parts. Okay? So the Bible has 10 chapters for 10 episodes. We're doing 10 one-hour episodes. It'll be a full full HBO series. And they'll go for a full season. So it takes a long time to do the Bible. You put bibliography in there, you put characters in there, and you tell the story. And you got a guy, as I mentioned, named John Scheiban, and he did Breaking Bad. He created Breaking Bad. And Tom wanted him because Breaking Bad has a lot of edge. And he didn't want a single cliche in this movie. None of this, before you die, you give the guy a cigarette, and then, you send a letter to Sally, and his baby, born, and he doesn't know it. And, hey, none of that stuff. And there's no cliche. So, he's a cliche hunter. He's a predator. And John did what I thought was a fantastic Bible. This is an anomaly, John. And I was with my granddaughters, 3 young girls and me in Orlando. I followed him around the park with my credit card. And so we went to the pool, and Tom called me up, and he said, "We're going to fire Scheiban." I said, "Holy shit, we're firing Scheiban?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, the script hasn't been that great, things like that, but
we called John in, and he understood it. The officer has got to be absolutely top-notch, John, and you're going to get called back probably as a scriptwriter if this Bible doesn't make it, and that was it. And that's what stalled the project for a long time. Now we got a writer, one writer, who did 2 episodes for us in Band of Brothers, and John Orloff, who's really good. And I pity John because he has to work with Tom, who is really tough. He's tough on himself, too. Once we asked him to do a promo for the World War II Museum. And it was at the end of a very long, exhaustive day. He and I had done this film called He Has Seen War, that I'll mention. And we were at each other all day. And we're sitting there, Tom's narrating it, and I'm changing the script as he's narrating. He's getting very mad at me, and he's changing it, my stuff, and I'm getting very mad at him. But we made it through the day, and they said to me, ask him to go do a promo for the museum, and he did. So he goes backstage, he's in a t-shirt, he went backstage, he put a suit on and a tie, and he came out, and he did a little promo, and the director went, great. Tom said it wasn't good. He did 27 of them. And everyone, the director said, that's the final cut. But I always use that as an example with my students, that, it's perfection, just get it absolutely right. Even in terms of cinematography, if you saw Saving Private Ryan, which Tom was in, but Spielberg directed, and they're both twins on this, they both believe in fidelity. They're coming off the landing boats, and a lot of guys get their legs blown off. So how do we play that on a film? Well, we have to show guys, the real close-ups occur, not so much with the legs being blown off, but with them sitting there with stumps on the beach, not being able to move, and being cared for by medics. So Spielberg said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get people who don't have legs, and we're going to give them plastic legs, prosthetics. We're going to come off and we're going to blow the prosthetics off them, and we're going to see the real stumps. I mean, that's how down to detail this is. When we did John Adams, we spent $75,000 having a watchmaker make a watch that's exactly like John Adams. Somebody at a script meeting said, how about we do a composite character? Well, that's a character that doesn't exist. It's made up of 2 or 3 characters. Tom said, no. Everybody here has to really have existed and done this in the war. So that's sometimes harder to pull off. So it's tough. Even one final thing, even in creating the movie, when we were doing Saving Private Ryan, Matt Damon was Ryan. Now here's the idea. When Captain Miller and Tom Hanks comes off the Higgins boat, they got to fight their way, through a tornado of German fire and get up on those cliffs. And I don't need to tell you the story of D-Day, but the point is, the guys don't want to be looking for Ryan. That's not what they're there for. They're there to kill Germans, and they're there to move in and take territory. And they don't like what they're doing, and they don't like Ryan, although they haven't seen him before. So Matt Damon is playing Ryan. So Spielberg said, here's what we're going to do. Damon's coming home tomorrow, and we're going to put him up in a 7-star hotel. And we're going to feed him, and we're going to treat him like a Raja. Hanks, you and the guys, the actors who are in the Higgins boats, are going to go to boot camp with the real Marine drill sergeants. And you're going to go, and it was raining like hell, too. And so they went off for supposedly 4 days. After the second day, all the actors took a vote and voted to quit. To demand that the camp end or they would quit. And Hanks was the only one who said, I'll stay. So everyone else said, oh, we'll stay too. And the point being, when it was over, everybody then met Damon. And they hated it. It wasn't exactly what we wanted to have, it's got to be in your blood. You can't be acting. You got to really hate it. So we hated, everybody hated Damon. The camera people, it was a pariah, like a leopard, don't even go near him. And people were afraid Spielberg would fire him if they talked to Matt Damon. But anyway, that's the story. But I can answer some questions later if there's a little bit of time left about how we're getting along in Masters. We're doing very well with it. I just read one episode. It's absolutely thrilling. The whole thing, 90 minutes. This one is just about 2 planes under murderous attack by the Luftwaffe. And the 10 men, the 20 men in the 2 planes are just fighting for their lives for an hour and 10 minutes. And it is edge of your seat, unbelievable. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Now, World War II. As Tom mentioned, I've done a few books on World War II, although I've never taken a military history course in my life. I was, as a student, I majored in something pretentiously called intellectual history, the history of ideas. And I came upon this accidentally. Maybe when we had a drink or so later, we can talk about that when we was 11. But World War II pulls you. Once you're in this thing, as my friend Dick here has just done a book on World War II knows, I mean, once you're pulled into this thing, it's hard to get out of it. You see, when you're a writer, you go into a room and you create a world in that room. And it's your world. It's based on real persons, but you have to pick the persons, pick the events. So in a sense, it's your World War II, it's your air war. And frankly, it's very sad to leave the room when it's over. Because you have to do a complete intellectual dump. Because you're moving on to another book. You have to almost hate when you're done. You have to leave it behind. You have to close the door, lock it. You can never enter the room again. And, but the reader can. And that's the point. My book is, you enter my room in my World War II. But I can't do that. So what's kept me on point with the air war is that I'm still involved in the film. So I still remember a lot of what I wrote. Constantly people are quoting a passage to me, and I said, who wrote that? I said, well, you did. I don't remember that. I mean, it's not like in college where you don't remember because you drank too much. You just, you don't remember. But anyway, World War II. Obviously the greatest human-made catastrophe in world history. The numbers are now about 62 million dead. As the Russian archive looked it up, the Russians lost 27 million, the Chinese 23 million in the war. Of the 62 million killed, 2/3 were women, children, and men over the age of 7. So the combatants didn't take it in as bad a way as the civilians did. If you've seen the old film by William Wyler called Mrs. Minibar about the Blitz, Wyler did a whole series of great films, not this battle, etc. But in Mrs. Minibar, they're in a bombed-out church. A woman has been killed, and this is during the Blitz in England, and the pastor gets up and said, don't you know that this is the world's first people's war? These airplanes don't hit our armies, they fly over our armies, and they hit civilian centers. And that's what a bomber war is, and it's a very different kind of war. So we are on the home front in this war. And that's why, as Howell said, I try to do under the bombs as well, because there are 2 victims in this war. There are the men who flew in the bombers and the men on the ground who were under the bombs. And it's eerily similar as an experience. These guys in a bomber flying through a flat field don't know whether they're going to live or die. By the second, it's all up to Lady Fortune. And you're sitting with your family in a German neighborhood in a coal cellar with a single candle, with people vomiting in there and scared and shivering, and some people suffering heart attacks, and the children are screaming, and the bombs are dropping, and if some drop, if they hit, it's just bad luck. If that string of bombs just hit you, you don't know. So it's eerie how similar the 2 experiences are. And I don't like books that just deal with one or the other. You got to deal with combatants as well as the people who suffer what's euphemistically called collateral damage. Now, I deal with, in this book, a war within a war. The bomber war doesn't win World War II. The 8th Air Force is the group that is the delivering instrument of the bombs. It's a small outfit that's formed in Savannah, Georgia, right at Pearl Harbor. 7 men, 7 planes is all they had. By 1944, they're the greatest striking force, the most dangerous, horrific striking force in the history of the world. But that's how it gets started. And 7 men, 7 planes. And I was drawn into this thing mostly because it dealt with trauma. How do people hold up under stress? Anxiety is an interesting topic for any writer. And this is why people like Hemingway are pulled to war, because you're constantly thinking, what would I do under these situations? I mean, when I played soldier as a kid, I always wondered, on a battlefield, would I fake death? When I was 7 years old, I thought about those sorts of things. And as everybody in this room knows who fought in combat, a soldier's first battle is with himself. Stephen Crane points that out in Red Badge of Courage. Will Henry Fleming fight or will he run? And that's what Henry's thinking. And that's what makes that such a powerful book. Eugene Sledge, a Marine in World War II, wrote a book like that with the old Greek at Peleliu. And it's the Red Badge of Courage of World War II. So my book is about strategy, yes, big picture, yes, but mostly about how did these guys get in these planes? When you think of this, we punished Germany. We punished Germany hard. We delivered big damage. We turned to cinder and ash 61 German cities. Okay, there was nothing left. And we killed in the process roughly 600,000 Germans. Okay. And again, 2/3 of them are women and children. And on the other hand, the 8th Air Force and the RAF, the British Air Force, the British Bomber Force, took heavy punishment themselves. 110,000 men flew for the Royal Air Force in heavy bombers in World War II. 110,000. 55,000 were killed. The odds of surviving, you know what they are? 0. If you count them mathematically. The mathematical chance of a British navigator flying the Lancaster over Nazi Germany are 0. And that's what the mathematical odds were for an 8th Air Force crew, 10 persons in a crew in a B-17 over Nazi Germany. 77% of the men who flew over Germany were casualties. Your chances of surviving were 1 in 4. Now, I hope nobody's played Russian roulette, but those odds are worse than Russian roulette. Harrison Salisbury in the New York Times said, if you're a member of the 8th Air Force, you hold a ticket to a funeral, your own. The 8th Air Force suffered 26,000 killed in action. That's not missing in action, too. That probably had another 12,000. Let's just take the 26,000 number. The United States Marine Corps, and I wrote about them in 2 days in the Pacific, suffered 19,800 deaths in all of World War II, from Guadalcanal to Okinawa, the whole Pacific War. This one outfit flying out of England, the 8th Air Force, suffers 26,000 deaths. So you get a sense of the experience. Now, the theory, and we're going to get to these slides in a second, the theory here is that bombing can win the war. Who believed that? The Air Force believed it. Only the Air Force believed it. People I call the bomber mafia in the air training schools. They thought they could win it all, and then it wouldn't even be named for D-Day. It was crazy, but they believed that. They believed it because they had it was a fit of technological optimism on the border of Hoovers. They had an instrument called a Norden bomb sight. It was developed by Carl Norden, a pacifist who thought it would end war. And because it would be very precise, you could bomb without killing people. You could just bomb factories, nobody was there. And Norden invents this thing called Norden bomb. Only we have this, okay? And then it's 1931. The Air Force, the Army Air Force buys it. And then they developed in 1925 a delivery instrument for this thing, a B-17 bomber. Shortly thereafter, they built another bomber called a B-24. I'm going to hit you with a lot of terminology here. That's called a Liberator. I'm going to put some slides up on those two things. We in Britain are the only countries in the world that are going to do heavy bombing, because we're the only countries in the world that have big 4-engine bombers. Even the Germans didn't develop it, nor the Russians. The British are going to bomb throughout the war, except at the beginning, when they flew daylight and took murderous casualties and did hit their targets. So they decided to go and fly at night, where they didn't have to aim at anything, they could just carpet bomb. A term we've heard a lot from President-elect Trump. Carpet bombing didn't turn out as well as the British thought it would, and you saw the casualty numbers on that, flying at night without fighter escorts. The 8th Air Force they're Americans, they're a little more optimistic. They believe they can fly in daylight. This B-17 had a ceiling, an air ceiling. It got to about 35,000 feet. The theory was it could fly above German flak and aircraft guns It could fly faster than a German fighter. Nobody thought about radar, and even though the British had developed it. And so you didn't have to fly with fighter escorts to protect you. When the German Luftwaffe came in, you'd handle it because the B-17 was called a flying fortress. It had 12 machine guns, most of them 50mm Browning machine guns, very powerful machine guns. But try to hit an ant in the sky, that's like trying to hit a German fighter at closing speed of 600 miles an hour. He's out there a mile, 1, 2, 3, he's there, he's over you. They're just splashing bullets all over the sky, hoping to hit something. So, and pinpoint bombing, as it was called, which the Jordan bomb sight would allow, turned out not to work quite well too, because they tested it in Nevada salt flats. And the sun's up, the sun's out, and they go on windless days and they drop these bombs on the sand targets. And they're so accurate, they start to call it pickle barrel bombing, that you would drop a bomb from 25,000 feet into a pickle barrel. And feasibly, you could do that, but they forgot about German fighters, German flak, German weather, clouds, and things like that. So pinpoint bombing turned out to be an oxymoron. Okay? And we revert to area bombing, as two old veterans I was talking to in an English pub said to one another. One was RAF, one was the Air Force, and the RAF guy said, we were very similar. He said, we area bomb area targets, and you pinpoint bomb, you area bomb pinpoint targets. And that's pretty much what it was. We started to just saturate places with bombs and won the war in that way. Now, this was an experiment. There never was a bomber war in the history of the world. World War I was fought at 10,000 feet. This war would be fought at 30. Okay. That changes it rather dramatically. No one had ever flown that high, let alone fought that high before. That calls for new planes, new equipment, okay, new medicine, because guys broke down in different ways. Airmen, and I'll talk about this in a second, airmen broke down in very different ways in combat, veterans in the infantry. And my uncle was in the infantry, my father was in the Air Force, so they'll tell you this. And they would have told you that. But it's just a different type of experience. And in a sense, these guys that are flying are guinea pigs, working out a paper theory of warfare. And they're almost flying, at the beginning especially, suicide missions. Now, I don't think there's anything more horrific about air combat than ground combat. They are equally awful, okay, and equally perilous. But there are real differences between the two. And let me just suggest a few before we throw these slides up. One thing is, you hardly ever see a corpse if you're flying with the 8th Air Force, unless a guy's hit inside your plane. And that's really a traumatic situation because you might be on the way to the target. All you can do is put him on the freezing floor of the plane, cover him with a blanket, and give him some morphine, and hope he makes it to the target and back, and you make it to the target and back. There are no medics, there are no corpsmen in the sky, there are no foxholes in the sky. You're flying in an aluminum tube, a tube that I could drive with a strong arm. You can drive a screwdriver through it, so it's vulnerable. It's a tube filled with ammunition, bombs, gasoline, and human flesh. And it's being fired upon from the ground and in the air. That's a little bit different than when your plane shakes when you're flying over Chicago. And so that's different. And one particular scene came through to me that I could describe in the book. There's an airman on base. So he hasn't seen, he knows comrades have died. He plays on a softball team where one day, where's the catcher? Where's the second baseman? Where's the right fielder? And where's the manager? Oh, they got killed yesterday. Oh, how do you know? Well, their bunks are empty, and everything's been stripped. All their belongings, they didn't exist. Pictures, wallets, coins, everything packed away, gone. And that was tough to get used to. This is also, unlike ground combat, intermittent combat. You had comforts when you weren't flying. You had cubs and clean sheets, and, decent food, and you're close to London, and you had a chance to get there. That's harder than fighting in the Battle of Bulge in the freezing snow of December in the Ardennes forest. But that can drive you nuts too, because you got to try to get these guys are allocated 25 missions that they have to fly. And they're counting. So when they're out on the line and the mission scrub, they're thinking, oh, I gotta die tomorrow, not today. And there's always on their mind. So it creates a different kind of combat fatigue or post-traumatic stress disorder than you would have on the ground. What else is different about it is weather kills. Now, I go out in the sunshine, nice day in Philadelphia today. I love the sun. The sun kills in the air war. If you're up there and it's a sunny day above the clouds, the enemy can spot you and they're on you, okay? Immediately, okay? The air I breathe keeps me alive. You can't breathe air over 10,000 feet, okay? You can't breathe. And so you have to have oxygen. This is like being on the moon. If you're on the moon, you need a machine to survive. And in the 8th Air Force, you need a machine to survive, you know, in combat. So it's different in that regard. I can go to Gettysburg, and I can recreate Pickett's charge, if you're listening. Pickett's charge. And I can say, oh, maybe Lee was crazy to order the assault. Okay? When Eisenhower was president, he'd bring people, Moshe Dayan and Khrushchev, out to the battlefield, and they talked about this sort of stuff. You can't do that with the 8th Air Force. You can't do it at all. Because there are no generals in the sky. There are no patents to say, let's retreat, let's surround the enemy, let's move this way, we're taking you here, let's move over here. These guys had to fly directly to the target, bowl through it, get there, and bomb. No single Air Force mission, 997 of them, was ever turned back. Okay? They took tremendous punishment, but they never turned back. And there's no high commanders or generals to direct the battle. I don't think ever in the history of warfare so much responsibility was put on people so young. The average pilot in the 8th Air Force was 24 years old, and the average air gunner was 19. So I talked to a guy who was at Syracuse University. He was a sophomore history major. He had never taken a trigonometry course. He never even taken calculus. He volunteered for the Air Force. 6 months later, he's made into a navigator, and he navigates a plane across the Great Northern Route, all the way across Labrador, Iceland, to Prescott, Scotland. And he said he was scared out of his mind. It was worse than combat. Because he also, in combat, he was the most important guy in the plane, not the pilot. He had to get the pilot to the target. Everybody had to be navigators. So, and it's so new. And he said to me one time, I looked in the mirror, and it was a cold day in East Anglia, and I was shaving, and I thought to myself, what day is it? It's February 1st. It's the first day of class at Syracuse. That's right. I'm not fighting these people. And that creates the kind of hatred you need to kill. And little things like that. So the air war isn't worse than combat on the ground, but the air war is terrifically different in combat on the ground in lots of ways. Now, let me throw up some slides here, and we'll take you on a 8th Air Force mission. There's a lot of ways you can graph who won the bomber war. I'll tell you right off, I think we lost. I don't think it was bombing was effective until just before D-Day. And then it becomes devastating effective. It's almost ineffective up to that point. We can talk about German civilians. We're not going to do that today. Almost half of our film, for example, deals with prisoners of war. I don't have much on that tonight. So I thought what I'd talk to you about is, we kept asking this question in the production process because a lot of people didn't know who the 8th Air Force was. It's well known in England. My book is called 8th Air Force in England. They changed the title. I said to my editor in London, why? He said, everybody knows who the 8th Air Force is in England. Nobody knows who it is here. So the title makes sense over there. And our airmen are honored over there. In East Anglia, I just took my grandson there, and in East Anglia, they turned control towers, old control towers, into museums. They built Nissan huts and turned them into museums. You ever see 12 O'Clock High, the actor in the first part of the movie walks across an old airfield and stuff? They've taken those airfields. These are people who were 9 to 14 years old when the American airmen were flying. They were sons and daughters of tenant farmers who lived on these farms around the air bases. And this is the strangest battlefront in the history of the world because all the bases are located on farms, and the farms still stay there. One farmer I just talked to in East Anglia said, I have a story for you. I said, what is it? He said, you know, my dad and my mom were sitting in their kitchen, and all of a sudden an airman appeared, and his face was all grimy. He was beat up with frostbite. His hands were almost black. And they said yes. And he said, do you have any hot water? And they said no, but we can, you know, put some hot water and put some water on the fire. There's a fire in the kitchen, a fireplace. So they did, and they said, well, what's the story? And he said, well, I need to shave. I'm going to London tonight, I need to shave. So he slips into the, just outside the kitchen where they had a sink, and he starts to shave, and then he peeks his head around to Dad and Mom. They're sitting there talking, Dad smoking his pipe, and he says, you know, I don't know your names, he said, but I'm really not here for a shave. I'm here because I want to be with the family. And they said, the kid who told me that as an 86-year-old man now, he said it was really, really moving. And he said that same kid, they watched him on all his missions, they knew the number of his planes, and when the planes came back and flew in, they'd count the planes and look for his number, and he made it to 24 missions, and they didn't make it on the 25th. And 5 months later, they got a postcard, a Red Cross card from a German POW camp. He was alive. He was alive. And he came back to England and married a girl he met in the pub. Dad took him down to the pub. And he used to visit them all the time, not just a shaving incident. And he finally said, he used to start calling Farmer Pop. He said, Pop, I need a girl. Take me to the pub. And they took him to the pub and he met a girl. And she thought, he came back to marry her, but she thought he was dead. And she had married another man and named her son Abraham. And you just stumble on stories like this, and you know, it makes you look. You know, it really kind of does. These are the targets. These are the air bases in East Anglia, filled with it. And it's very difficult to find a base when you're returning from a mission. Remember, England is a place with capricious weather. It could be great weather when you're flying, when you're taking off, and horrible weather over the target, and it looks good coming back, but then it turns bad. It's island weather. So you're at the whim of the weather conditions here. And the bases are close together, so they're hard to discern from the air, especially on a cloudy day. You can't see these maps too good, but these are the targets here, and the ranges of the bombers. Basically, flying out of East Anglia, England here, East Anglia sticks out like a hatchet for, as the flyers call it, the Hunt. And you flew over the sea here, usually through Amsterdam, and then the first missions are against sub-pens in here. This is what I call the 12 o'clock high period, the air war. These sub-pens in Brittany, and because you know, as Churchill said, the one battle I really feared in the war was the Battle of the Atlantic, and which could starve Britain. And in the beginning, they're only running shallow penetration missions, about 100 miles to 200 miles inside Germany. By the end of the war, they're flying with additional fuel tanks all the way, and their fighters are too, all the way to Berlin. That's about 400 miles. Okay, so it's an 800-mile trip. It's about, could be a 12-hour day. So these are the targets. These are the bases. There's a better sense of what the targets look like. It's every German city. Every German city. And you never knew which one you were going to get, but these guys knew. Unlike combat veterans, that's another difference. Air combat and ground combat. These guys knew what they were doing, knew their objective very clearly, were briefed, read the newspapers, things like that. Not like a lot of grunts who were fighting in the mud with every pile and reporting their movements, not knowing anything about the war. This is the delivery instrument of strategic bombing. Now I said, our bombing is going to be so precise, so the theory goes, that we're not going to kill a lot of people. We're going to hit, not city centers, we're going to hit factories inside city centers, steel mills, ball bearing factories, and things like that, because we have up front this northern bomb site right here. So this schematic of a B-17 gives you an idea of what the plane's like. Officers in the front, here's the bombardier, okay? He would lean over his northern bomb site in this plexiglass thing, which is not bulletproof, okay, in the front of the plane. And then he's got a machine gun down here, and right behind him was his navigator. So you have two officers up front in the plane here. And then you climbed up some steps to the cockpit, and there you have your pilot and the co-pilot. Now, what was the most dangerous position in the plane? The pilot. When the Germans came in, they started to attack originally from the rear. And after a while, Adolf Galan, the German fighter commander, said, hit him from the front because they'll strike terror in them. And then he said, I looked at my airmen, he says this in the autobiography, and they said, we have Boeing fever. We don't want to go, these are made by Boeing, we don't want to go against the Boeings. And so there's fear on both sides here. But they did. In Auchelon, 6 at a time, flying 6 in a row, at closing speeds of 600 miles an hour, they attacked the front of the plane. Because the fuel's in the wings. Of course, the propellers are on the wings. The men flying the plane are vulnerable. They don't have machine guns and things like that. So you knock out the pilots, you have a good chance of knocking out the plane. And then there's a bomb rack here. And then there's a little cat. Behind the pilot, by the way, is a guy here. He's an engineer. He knows all these instruments. If the pilot's killed, he's probably been through flight training school and flunked out, but he knows enough to get that bomber home. You know, basically, a lot of navigators and bombardiers, too, that fail. They're tough, flight training school. And then there is the bomb rack here. And you walk across a catwalk that's about this wide. Okay, the catwalk. And a lot of times the bombs got stuck. So you had to walk out the catwalk, and of course the bomb bay is open. And many guys fell from 30,000 feet. As one fellow I talked to said, all he kept wondering during the war was, when do you die when you fall from 30,000 feet? You die immediately? You go into shock? Do you have to wait till you hit the ground? He said, we talked about this all the time. It was morbid. These bases were morbid places. I did a lot of my interview with Andy Rooney, and Andy Rooney covered the air war for Stars and Stripes in the soldier newspaper, and he visited the air bases. He had friends there. He had gone to Syracuse. He knew the guy I was talking about, the navigator. And Andy said, I expected, when I went up there the first time, to be like a college campus. You know, crazy guys, 21 years old, having fun, drinking, chasing girls at the pub and stuff. He said they were morbid places. Guys who were tortured. He watched a volleyball game that lasted an hour and a half and nobody spoke. He said, these guys are out of it. Out of it. And so, the back of the plane, you have 2 gunners here on each side, one on each side, called waist guns. Now that's a portal. That's open to the air at the beginning of the war. Later they closed it. So you have wind bursts coming in there, and it is about 60 degrees below zero inside the plane, because the plane isn't heated. That's over Germany at 30,000 feet in February. The warmest it got in the plane was about 30 degrees below zero. So that's why frostbite is the big killer in the early part of the air war. So these are the air gunners, and then underneath there, sitting in that little thing that rotates, called a ball turret, he spins around like that, and he's all alone. It's unheated. And you think they put little guys there, 5'6", 5'4", well, I talked to guys who were 6'4" they put in there. And what their answer is, that's the Army. That's kind of the way it is. And it's tough in there. And the longer, because that can be retracted into the plane, and it did on takeoff and landing. But it was tough duty underneath. And then all the way back here is a tail gunner, all alone, sitting pretty far from his comrades. You ever heard the term the whole 9 yards? Well, that's a machine gun belt. That went 9 yards back from his gun to the box that the machine gun bullets belt was in. And he would use, in some raids, the whole 9 yards. Okay? A lot of times the Germans went after this part of the plane, and they dove into it like kamikazes. When unlike the Japanese, they parachuted out and tried to do it again after they landed, and tried to break the plane in half. So that happened sometimes. This is the first mission they flew, August 17, 1942. This is the first test. They're going to Rouen, where Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. It's a shallow penetration mission. One casualty, a guy got a brief bruise on his head, a bird hit the windshield, that's it. Everybody in every plane, except Paul Tibbets, who flew this mission, was killed within 3 weeks. So a tough little fast. A tough little fast. This is the leadership of the 8th Air Force. At the time, Jimmy Doolittle later became probably the most famous in the Air. He takes over in 43 because they had a tough commander named Ira Aker, but he wasn't tough enough, they thought, to clear the skies before D-Day. And back on the home front, there was this guy named Hack Arnold who ran all the air forces in the world. He's on the right, and Doolittle's on the left. I'll come back to this at the end if there's Q&A. These are some of the characters in our book. Gail Cled and John Egan, two swashbuckling flyers. We take, like Band of Brothers, we take one bomb group, instead of trying to do the whole thing, one bomb group. Like our outfit in the Pacific, which used, Sledge's outfit, and like our Band of Brothers outfit, the wrong one, we just take this one group, and they were the leaders of that group. And the real hero, I think, of the book is the guy with me who operated this thing. Okay, there's Clevin, Egan, and just some snapshots of these guys. This guy, Robert, he exemplifies what these guys are all about. Robert Rosenthal. What a hell of a story. Now, here he is after one of his 3 crashes. He joins up the day after Pearl Harbor. He's from Brooklyn, he's from Flatbush, near Ebbets Field. He's an all-American, he just graduated from Brooklyn Law School. He went to Brooklyn College, where he was just inaugurated into their Football Hall of Fame. He's in their Baseball Hall of Fame. They were after him with a Major League contract to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers. He wanted to go to law school, graduated at the top of his class, got a great job on Wall Street. Then he read about Pearl Harbor and he signs up. He's Jewish, but he said, I'm signing up, not because of what I hear about Hitler and the Jews, because he said, this guy's bad for all human beings. This is a battle for civilization. It's a battle for civilized values. And he flies and fights. After 25 missions, he could have went home. He said, I'll re-up again. As long as Hitler lives, I fight. He re-upped and he went through another 25. And then he flies over Berlin, and toward the end of the war, when the Russians and Germans are really hammering it out on the Eastern Front, and he gets blown out of the sky. His crew gets out of the plane. He's about to crash. He says like he's in quicksand. He can't move. These centrifugal forces are beating on him. But he doesn't remember getting out of the plane, but he parachuted probably at 10,000 feet, which must have really hurt. He broke his arm, but he landed right in the middle of a firefight between a Russian rifle company and a German rifle company. And the Russians didn't know who he was, so they started charging his position. I said, Rosie, what'd you do? He said, I know what to do. Couldn't speak a word of Russian. All I did was stand up and yell, Beirut, Coca-Cola, Lucky Strike, Marathon. They got him to Moscow. And he tried to get back in the air war. He couldn't get back in the air war because by the time he returns to base, the war's over, but he signs up to fight in the Pacific, and he's when he's training, when they drop the bombs, and there's no more war in the Pacific. So that September, he's reading a newspaper about these things called the Nuremberg trials. He said, I'm a trial lawyer. He signs up to go to Nuremberg. On the way over, he meets a Navy lawyer, a young woman named Phyllis, and they fall in love. I didn't know whether I was seasick or in love, but she was great. And they got married in Nuremberg. She investigated the German civilians who were arrested for torturing and killing American flyers. One guy in particular had beheaded a flyer and dropped the head into acid, and the hair drops off, of course, and then polished it and used it as a letter holder on his desk. And you hear the stuff about the Jews and Nazi shades on lamps and things like this. Well, this happened too. And he went after the high command, Keitel, Vogel, Goering, although Goering, of course, committed suicide. He said, when I saw Keitel hang, the head of the German high command, he said, that was enough. My war was over. That was closure. Phyllis was pregnant, and we came home. And he's one of the first guys. A book has to have an igniter. And the igniter, we really have to get excited about this because these are long projects. These are long distance flights. And I met Rosenthal down at the 8th Air Force Museum in Sedan, and that was it for me. That story just generated a book, if you will. So, black workers, the 8th Air Force was rigorously segregated. Hap Arnold from Philadelphia did not believe that white airmen could survive together in a plane, effectively fight together in a plane with blacks. So when Eleanor Roosevelt pushes for black fighter pilots and Tuskegee Airmen are organized, they're going to fly solo, they're going to fly in Mustangs, they're not going to put them in bombers. There were Japanese in the bombers, Puerto Ricans in the bombers, Chinese in the bombers, but no African Americans. They built the airfields and delivered the bombs to the air bases. And I described some racial riots that took place in England because the English girls took to these guys, and it really made some problems, especially with the southern boys. This is a typical 8th Air Force base. It looks like a cow pasture, right? That's in the middle of the air base. And the interesting thing is these guys, the Luftwaffe, not a single time did they attack an 8th Air Force base. Hitler was crazy. He kept going after London, Manchester, the middle cities. He could have went after these 8th Air Force bases that were sitting out in the open, running anti-aircraft protection, but he didn't. One of the huge mistakes he made, I think, during the war. That's Alof Golan. I talked about him being the head of the German fighter command. This is Curtis LeMay, probably the most effective air leader. He's a caricature later. Peter Sellers plays in Dr. Strangelove, and Buck Turkison in Dr. Strangelove, not Sellers, but and of course he's the guy who wanted to go to war with the Russians over the Cuban Missile Crisis. But in World War II, and he's a very conservative man later. Roosevelt's a very liberal man later, a liberal Democrat. And Rosie told me, this guy, I don't care what his politics was, he was the best air leader in the war, and we followed him. He taught us how to fight, he taught us how to bomb. Because before that, when they go through a flat field, all the anti-aircraft fighters in the world, they would take evasive action. I mean, you see it in front of you, and you think you're going to die. He said, nobody takes evasive action. You fly right into the flat. Because unless you have a level platform, you're not going to hit the target. You're flying around like, and what does that mean? So you tell the guy, we've got to go back 1, 2, 3, 4 more times to that target. That's it once, right. Well, that worked out sometimes, but not all the time. Here are the persons inside the plane. That is the bombardier in the front of the plane, and he would be looking through his door and bomb sight. I love this picture because it looks like my junior high school football team. And they're so young, they're babies, and this is particularly young looking group of guys. There they are with their May West on, the May West big dress, and all that. They're inflatables. And sadly, every member of this crew was killed over Holland. And the famous gave me that picture. There's Clark Gable, you wanted to see him, and he went over there to do a film called Air Gunner. And there were a lot of actors in this, but these guys were the real deal. Gable, they said, his wife, Carol Lombard, kept telling him when he was back in the States, she's an actress, and you got to get in the war, big boy. You do war movies, you got to get in the war. And he doesn't get in the war until she's killed in an airplane accident during a bomb drive. And he is overwhelmed with guilt, signs up, and everybody who flew with him, I interviewed a lot of the guys, said he wanted to die. And he was taking big chances. They had to get him out of there for a while. Jimmy Stewart, the same way. I mean, he volunteers, he's 6'3", he weighs 135 pounds. The doc says, no way, you're too skinny. He comes back and tells the doc he just won the Academy Award for the Philadelphia Story. He'll give me free tickets to the movie. The doc said, I'll put my thumb on the scale. Put his thumb on the scale, he's in. Yeah. There's the ball turret gunner sitting in there like the embryo in the egg, and spinning around like that, just after taking off. 25 missions, that's what everybody's shooting for. That's what they're thinking of. This is one of the first groups in Memphis Belle, not the first. Interestingly, as I said before, August 17th they first fly. When's the first time they make 25 missions? One plane makes 25 missions. The Memphis Belle does. And that's in May. What happens to almost everybody before that? They're all dead. And these guys knew these guys. They're there for a long time. They're there for a long time. So, yeah. I hate the word ground pounder. People use that. These guys on the ground perform very, very hazardous duties at these bases, loading bombs. And a lot of the planes blew up as bombs were being loaded on. Now, I teach college, and my students are experts at daydreaming. And you have it down. And here you did daydream. This is a classroom where everybody paid attention. You're shaken out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. You're given a meal. Okay, is it a big meal with bacon and things like that? They used to call that the Last Supper. They knew it was going to be a tough mission, a long mission, probably to Berlin. And you knew that because a curtain was over that mat right there. Okay, a curtain's over that. And that guy's standing there with a pointer. And the string goes from East Anglia all the way here, you know it's Berlin, the big B, with that stuff. And you're given all this information, altitude, target, wind speed, everything you needed to know. The position of German anti-artillery outfits, things like that. You all have to assimilate this in about a half an hour, and then you're out to your planes. So it's tough duty. The gunners were usually out there first. The pilots came out in a jeep, along with the engineers, the bombardier, and the navigator. And sometimes the padre would come out and give them a blessing out there. Sometimes they meet with the ministers inside. Sometimes they were allowed to go to their rooms and write a final letter. Everybody had final letters in their drawers, because they all thought they were going to die. And I asked Rosenthal, I said, what'd you do? There were no rabbis. He said, I went to Catholic and Protestant services. I wasn't taking any chances. So, this is not Newark Airport. These people are flying 20 seconds apart. They're airborne, okay? A squadron of 12 planes, okay? And there's 3 squadrons on the base. If they're going to Berlin, it's going to be an air train. How long is the air train? 1,200 bombers, 1,000 fighters. Guys would be going to Berlin and see planes coming back. That's how long the air train was, sometimes 200 miles long. To live in these villages in England, the people said, with the British flying at night and the Americans in the day, the ground was rumbling all the time. We knew we were hitting the Hun, as they say. And these guys, we don't put a boot on the ground in Germany, a boot on the ground, until the last stages of the war, 2 months before the war is over, okay? Except briefly at the Siegfried Line, you know, in some campaigns where we just dipped a little bit into Germany, up the Herky Forest. And these guys are over Germany, inside Germany, the whole war. Okay? And they're shot down over Germany. And they're prisoners of war in German camps. That's Len Miller. This is the navigator. I'd say one of the most important guys, maybe the most important guy in the plane. And it's astounding how little air training they had before they went on the missions. And this is a radio gunner. This is what my father was trained to do before he went to the control tower. You control the radio. You're on radio silence in the plane. You couldn't talk to the base. The commanders couldn't tell you what to do. But you had little throat mics, so you could talk to somebody inside the plane. So when you see movies and them talking to each other in the plane, they were for these interphones. They smoked in the plane too. They smoked cigarettes until they got to 10,000 feet, and then put the butts out and things like that. And guys did sneak drugs, amphetamines, and did sneak alcohol onto the plane. It happened. Okay? And there were a lot of sick guys, mentally sick guys that were flying. And it was dangerous because being comrades, you cover for a guy like that, and then you only got 9 guys when you should have 10. You're jeopardizing the whole crew. But there's a lot of loyalty. Loyalty that almost is counterintuitive with survival. But that's how you survive. Now, this is a stage photograph, but nonetheless, it shows you what an air gunner looked like. And he's got a vest on there, okay? That's made by the Gillette company. And they got artists from the Museum of Modern Art to design these things based on medieval armor. And this is a flak vest. When you go through the flak field, he's got an electrically heated suit on too. But it's like I'm old enough to know putting up Christmas trees one of the most dangerous things in the world. And we had no Christmas trees. And when the lights went out, one light went out and the whole tree goes out. Well, that's how these things work. So if one little, electrode went out on the thing, the whole suit was useless. He's bundled up for the winter up there like this. The watch he's wearing like frostbite. White frostbite, especially. They'd come back and their hands would be black, even with heavy gloves on. But don't forget, what happens sometimes is a gun would freeze. In the chaos of combat, you forget. And you pull your glove off to clear the jam on the gun. The minute you put your hand on the gun, it's stuck to it. And then you pull off 3 layers of flesh. I talked to a guy who was a hospital medic on a ship that was taking injured airmen back home. He said, we had a guy on there that had no fingers, no toes, no ears, no lips, and both his eyes had been removed because of frostbite. They had a thing called the Russian cure. Your hands turned purple, then they turned black, the fingers, then they fell off, then they could try to work with you. But until that happened, they couldn't work with you. So that was tough stuff, in addition to combat fatigue, things like that. Now, that's a flak field. So they took pictures inside the plane. These are airmen themselves with Kodak cameras taking these pictures. That's German flak. And if you're hit by one of these shells directly, your plane explodes and nobody lives. But that flak flies in the air, it floats in the air. And so it's floating directly in front of you. And that's the flak I said that you couldn't take evasive action from. You have to just bore through to the target and hit the target. And constantly, on the return from these planes, these flights, mid-air collisions over England. Look at that soup there over England. And these two planes, this guy caught this in action, two planes collide. They often collide, actually, also, when they took off. Because when they took off, there was a radar beam that went straight up like that. And they would fly one at a time and circle around the radar beam until they got to the top of the cloud, and they popped out like a trout popping out of a stream. And all of a sudden, everything baby blue and clear. And then all of a sudden, it's Robin's Egg Blue, and this is spectacular. And you're playing the great songs of World War II on the radio, all those fantastic songs. And it seems very romantic until you get hit hollow. And then it's all different. And by the way, this chaos here, which looks like a Hieronymus Bosch painting, this captures to me what the air war was all about. A German pilot who the Germans flew until they died. They went on combat missions, minimum combat missions. And 70,000 of them died in the war. That's more than died in U-boats. And anyway, this German pilot says to me, what did it look like in combat? I asked him. He said, take a gigantic ashtray, a mile each way. He said, and fill it with junk. Fill it with exhaust systems, motors, fill it with engines rather, fill it with propellers, fill it with human beings, and dump it. And that's what it looked like. Pilots coming out of the planes in flaming parachutes. Pilots coming out without parachutes. Planes going down, cut in half. Just chaos. And 10 minutes later, the sky's perfect. Perfect. And that's what sometimes when you talk to these airmen, they can't go back to reunions. I talk to my veterans who are in the Bastogne or at Okinawa, and I visit these battlefields with them, and they go back to the place they fought. And there's some finality about that. These airmen will never be able to go back to these places. That's why for them, reunions are so important. And just an aside, this is something that's really missing today with combat veterans. They don't have enough reunions because these guys suffered a lot after the war. As General Bradley said, he took over the Veterans Administration after the war. Can you imagine the head of the Supreme Commander of the D-Day operation, Eisenhower reports to the Veterans Administration, he took the job. That's how important these guys were to these guys. That would never happen today in the hierarchical army. But anyway, it's different for them, and they don't have that sense of closure. Here's calling them in, the mission's over, they're coming back in, and they're counting them in. And our little group of villagers would have been standing right near here. Everybody had a bicycle in the base, because the bases were very large. And they were all English bikes. Andy Rudy said there were more accidents in the English bikes than anything, because everybody was used to braking with the pedals, hit the pedals, no pedals. And a lot of casualties on the ground, especially after you visit the pub in the evening. Now, this is a particularly sad story, but it points out, I think, some of the trauma these guys confront. Mooney told me that the worst thing he'd ever seen in his life was this. This plane was coming in for a landing, and it had all its hydraulics knocked out, so the wheels, they couldn't get the wheels down. And they could not get the ball turret. The whole mechanism had been shot to pieces, and they couldn't get the ball turret up into the plane. So they have to belly land. And he's going to be crushed. You see, there's no plexiglass. So they got a priest on the phone in the control tower, and he's a Catholic kid, an Italian kid, and they told him he was going to die in about 2 minutes. So they landed, and there wasn't much left of him. Randall Jarrell, the poet, wrote a poem or something about this. He said they washed him out of the vault earth with a hose. And he died. There was nothing left. So you saw air accidents like this all the time. You saw the training, 20,000 airmen were killed in the United States as a result of air accidents. This is a good picture because it shows you not the crowd that's coming out of the Memphis Belle, it's a fake photo. This is what guys look like after a mission. They're beat to shit. I mean, they're really hammered up, you know, by what's happened. And they're not happy. They're not even happy to be photographed, okay? And they know they're being photographed. It's just the constant attrition, the mental attrition and exhaustion that kind of beats on you. There are little things of solace you have here. I mean, Red Cross girls would hand out coffee and sandwiches. The guys that was a long mission would get 2 shots of whiskey, 1 shot if it's a short mission. The Red Cross girls in every base using 2 to a base, 6,000 guys and 2 women got helped them. But that's it. Here's the other plane, the Liberator. This is a mission they flew. They didn't always fly at high altitude. When they went after the oil fields in Romania, Germany drew most of its oil early in the war from Collateral oil fields in Romania. And we tried to hit them with a gigantic low-level mission. Look at how low they're flying. They flew 600 miles like this, and they took 77% casualties on this raid. They were flying so low they gave machine guns, those Tommy guns that gangsters use, they gave them to the pilots and co-pilots to shoot out the windows. And they were hammered to pieces. More Medal of Honors given on this trip than on this mission than any other. Usually the more casualties, the more Medal of Honors, and something like that. But, so they flew in all kinds of conditions. And the one thing that he asked every airman, what were you ready for, what weren't you ready for? Nobody was ready to become a prisoner. Nobody. He said, never thought to get killed, thought to get this, that, injured. They feared being injured, disfigured. Imagine if you're a 19-year-old kid, you think, I'm going to lose half my face, I'm going to lose my leg, I'm going to lose my penis. You know, you think about these things. But you don't think about being captured. Now, here's a guy who drops into Germany in the middle. It's a very good photograph that the family gave me, the Belgian family. This guy's an airman. He's being picked up on the side, on the right and left, by a Belgian farmer and his son, and he's about to be hurried away to their farm and hidden away. And he is going to become an invader. Look at the stunned look on his face. Nobody knows who took this picture. And it was very dangerous work because there would be shot all over the place in Belgium. And most of these safe houses were run by Belgian women, several whose daughters are still alive in that interview. And then what they try to do is get the airmen to Paris and then to the Pyrenees, and then get boss guides to take them across the Pyrenees and hope they get to British Gibraltar. The Spanish are technically neutral, but of course Franco's a fascist, so it's tough. You got the Guardia Civil, and that's a problem. But a lot of the guys did get, Chuck Yeager made it across, for example, a Mustang flyer. So these escape lines are really, really important. We didn't need them much later in the war as we start to liberate parts of Europe. Now, we'll wrap up with this, and we'll take questions. This is the penultimate moment in the air war when these Mustangs, these fighter pilots, flying these P-51 Mustangs, as they're called, the miracle plane in World War II, the war-winning plane, really, is developed. We thought it was a technological impossibility to develop a fighter like this. How could you put so much gas in the plane that it would get to Berlin and have the plane be maneuverable in a dogfight with a very, very maneuverable Focke-Wulf or Messerschmitt 190? So maneuverability and sacrifices put a lot of gas in. They developed a plane that could carry heavy gas load, was nimbler than anything the Germans had, and had feet go a long way. This thing saves the war. Because at the time it enters the war, just after Christmas, let's go to early January 44, what's coming up? D-Day. What has to happen for D-Day? I was standing on the cliffs of Normandy Beach with Tom Brokaw and Steve Ambrose. We were going to do a special on NBC. And I said, Tom, what you want to talk about here is who wasn't here on that June day? And, well, they could be the spoilers. The U-boats weren't there. We had destroyed the U-boat threat in the Mid-Atlantic the previous May. the German Air Force wasn't here. If they had been here, the landing couldn't have taken place. And Eisenhower knew that. When he took over Supreme Command, or when he brought to London in December of 1944, he said, we have to have the skies cleared, and I have to take control of the Air Force so that every bomber realizes that its top priority is to knock out the German Air Force. So you guys have 4 months, 1.5 months to knock out the most powerful fighter force in the world, and they've been beating you up to now. They've been beating the hell out of you up to now. But with the Mustang, the bombers were told, hey, this is bad news for the bombers. They're basically turned into bait. They used to fly missions where they'd send this bomb group over here, that bomb group over there the same morning, that bomb group, and 2 of them were fake missions to throw the German defenses off. Carl Spaatz, the 78th Air Force, says, here's what we're going to do. And Jimmy Doolittle takes, Spaatz is overall commander, Doolittle's commander of this outfit. He says to them, dedicated missions, we're going to tell the Germans where we're coming. We want them to come up. Because if they come up, hit the bombers, they're the bait. Because it's not going to let them bomb Berlin in an untrammeled way without any defense. You got to show your force. So when the Luftwaffe comes up, we'll slaughter them. And that's what happens. The Thunderbolts, which is the earlier version of a fighter plane, a tough plane, probably killed the more Luftwaffe pilots and planes than the Mustangs. But these Mustangs and Thunderbolts together, along with the gunners inside the plane, in 4.5 months, they knock out the entire German Air Force, literally. Now, they don't kill every plane. I hear production figures about Germans producing planes at the end of the war. And when we occupied Germany, we saw lines and lines of planes, including primitive jets. But there was nobody to fly them. This was a pilot killing, not a plane killing thing. We killed the best, the elite pilots. They didn't have elite pilots, I said. They're throwing kids up to 20 and 21 hours of air training against guys like 250 and 300 hours of air training. This is slaughter. But they take it too. 18,500 guys, casualties, in the 3 months leading up to D-Day. Now, how many guys were killed on Omaha Beach? 2,400 Americans, okay? Total casualties killed, wounded on all of D-Day beaches, 10,000. 18,500 in the Air Force. Now, my uncle served in the Big Red One. Tough outfit. They fought in North Africa, they fought in Sicily, they fought everywhere. They fought in the Hurricane Fires, they fought at the Bulge, they went into Germany. And there's a great, he was on the first wave of D-Day. The first one's in, 6:20 in the morning. And there's a great monument to these guys, fine, beautiful, pyramidical monument to the Big Red on the beach. I'd like to see a monument to the Air Force close to these guys to memorialize the Brits and the Americans and the Canadians and the New Zealanders that flew, the Aussies that flew these suicide missions up to D-Day. So they made D-Day possible. When we expected the German Air Force to hit, it didn't show up. 16 planes showed up on D-Day total, 16 sorties. And that was it. And after that, for the rest of the war, we're not fighting fighters so much, we're just fighting flak. Now that's dangerous. But now we can finally go after targets that we wanted to go after. And there's a Thunderbolt with Zadie Zabreski from Oil City. And this is what we're going after now, oil fields. Now if I hit, final point, if I hit an oil field like this, it's usually near the metal in Dar, okay, in New Jersey. They're pretty awful. I once picked up a hitchhiker from Holland, and he said, "This is America?" He threw it by the metal, and I said, "It gets better." We'll be in Pennsylvania soon. So race Jersey. It's out. You can hit it. We started hitting oil refineries, and by the end of 44, German oil production was down 6%. They can't run a military machine. Gas and oil, that's a lot of warfare. Okay? But notice here, since it's out like the metal is in the middle of nowhere, you don't have to worry about slippage or collateral damage, bombs drifting and killing civilians. But here you do. And here was the moral dilemma of World War II, and this is what we're closing on. Because it gets you thinking. Because we're facing this problem right now in Syria. We found out that the two most, after D-Day, because it's all about killing the Air Force before that, the two most important targets to knock out the German war machine are oil a steel mill, an engine factory. Wait a minute. Choo-choo train takes coal. You want to hit the coal pit. The train takes the coal to all these places. And these trains are assembled in huge yards, like we had when I was a kid, right in Pennsylvania, called marshalling yards. And they're all put together. Coal trains are put together there. We'll hit marshalling yards. So it was a British idea, led by Air Marshal Tedder. And we started to hit these marshalling yards and knock out Germany's a coal. See, their industry runs on coal, their army runs on oil. They don't have much oil. Get this, the United States has 93% of the oil in the world. 93%. We are an energy country. Joe Stalin toasted Roosevelt one time, he said, to octanes. Octanes. And so if you bomb a target like this, though, it's in the middle of the city. Just like those rail yards in Reading, Pennsylvania, right in the middle of the city. And there's your rail yard, and this bombing, don't forget, here it is, it's very effective. It's going to knock out the German war machine, but it's going to kill an awful lot of civilians. Okay. Do you bomb it or not? And the double danger here is it's wintertime. It's December and January of 44, 45. And there's heavy cloud cover, so you're bombing with radar, primitive radar. All you do is bounce a radar beam like this light off, and hits the ground, and bounces back, and up on the screen on the cathode, you can tell the difference between surface and water, light and dark. That's all. So this is blind bombing. And do you do it or not? Well, they didn't even think about it. They did it. They did it. And it did destroy, along with the oil facilities, the German war machine. Of course, the war happened to one on the ground. And so it's a double thing. It's not that the Air Force is doing more than the Army or the Navy. Neptune's Trident, we working together. But this creates the kind of moral dilemma that every warrior has to face. Down at the World War II Museum, we have these things up on screens, and we have dilemmas like this. We face this pre-D-Day when we had to bomb rail yards, marshalling yards in France. And we brought in, Churchill said, no, the French already hate us. They'll hate us for 3 centuries after this. And Roosevelt said, overruled it. And the power of the Allied camp is now shifted, decidedly toward the Americans. And they brought in the French generals. They said, again, that's war, they said. Has to be done. So they did it. And they killed 23,000 Frenchmen. And they don't have to leave it. And turned Normandy into a little wasteland. So, not a pretty picture. And the last thing, after accomplishing these kinds of raids, what one group had to do at the end of the war, there's a war, that's what a bomber looked like, by the way. That's how much damage they could take on a mission and make it back. That bomber made it back. There's a kid who's hit by flak in a flat field. This is a great image. I'm going on here. This is 200. This is a great image. I talked to the guy who flew this mission. His name is Sherman Small. He's still an investment banker, 91 years old in Rhode Island. And he was in the tail of this plane when it's cut in half. It's cut in half. A German fighter pilot went into it. Sherman was in the tail. He dropped 25,000 feet without, he had a parachute, but he couldn't fight his way out of the tail section. He landed and he lived. And he didn't break a single bone. 2 days later, they had on another mission. I said, Sherman, what happened? He said, He said they took me off the plane. They said I was frozen like a Wisconsin log in February. And I said, well, what happened next? He said, I kind of came through at Don Carlos Hospital near Miami. And they took me back here for 5 years of psychiatric care. And so that was tough stuff that these guys do. Sometimes they send them to these platforms, places like this, where they could relax, take off their uniform. The Red Cross girls didn't have to wear uniform. They could horseback ride, target shoot, things like that. But even the people who observed it, like Rudy said, what do they do when they're playing? They put on the English punches, they have fake air battles in the punts. They can't get a war out of their minds. Here they are celebrating the end of it. It's over. It's over. And it's over for these guys too. My final chapters in the book deal with what I call the European Time Death March. When the Russians were moving in January for the final offensive on Berlin, this is the big drive. We had over 30,000 airmen, Allied airmen, in camps in Poland, Silesia, Estonia, and the Germans are going to move them out of the camps on foot. And Hitler, thinking of going down to Berchtesgaden, he didn't do that, but he thought about it, and using these guys as human shields. Or else it's negotiating tools for the Allies will kill them unless you do this. These guys marched in the most severe winter in European history. And they marched through the Reich, from Silesia in Poland, all the way to Würzburg near Munich. That took 3.5 months. And they marched through the very towns they bombed. And they marched past the crowd whose relatives they had killed. They were stoned, they were beaten. Their attitudes change all the time. One guy said, I'd see an old German Baba sitting on, a grandmother sitting on a pile of rubble that was her house, and she's crying, I did this. Then we passed a group of prisoners. Who are these guys? In pajamas, and they stink like hell. Well, they're Jewish prisoners. We don't know that. One of the guys screamed out, who are you? They're being taken to the Eastern Front to build fortifications against the Russians. And they passed a group of American GIs, or airmen rather, who were being taken back to Würzburg, and they're going to the front. They're passing, and they don't know who each other, they don't know who's on the other side. One of the guys, this guy here, Lulovsky, told me a great story. He said, he said, I never felt so impotent in my life. I couldn't raise a hand to help these people. Because as the people in pajamas, as they call them, started to fall down, they didn't get up, they hit them with a bird gun. And they blow the tops of their heads off. And we couldn't do anything about it. And then that night, they put us up for the night in the German concentration camp, and we saw it firsthand. This is why we fought. Thank you.